They removed an entire mountain just to build a train station. At first, that sounds completely backwards. Railway stations are supposed to sit in wide, open spaces where tracks can spread out for kilometers, not on top of a mountain. Yet that's exactly what happened in China. Engineers carved away millions of tons of solid rock, transformed a rugged mountainside into an enormous artificial platform, and built one of the largest high-speed railway stations on Earth, where almost nobody thought it was possible. But flattening the mountain was only the beginning, because the greatest challenge wasn't above the ground. It was everything hidden beneath it. One wrong calculation could destabilize the entire slope, collapse tunnels deep inside the mountain, and disrupt one of the busiest high-speed rail networks ever built. So why would anyone choose to build here in the first place? And how do you construct a station this enormous, on top of a mountain that never wanted it there? The answer was to rebuild the mountain, one layer at a time. Before construction could even begin, engineers spent months studying the rock hidden beneath the surface. From above, the mountain looked solid, but underground, it was anything but. Different layers of rock expanded and contracted with temperature changes. Rainwater slowly weakened natural fractures. Some sections were stable enough to support enormous structures, while others could shift without warning. Building directly on unstable ground wasn't an option. So instead of simply cutting away the summit, engineers carefully redesigned the entire landscape. Massive excavators climbed the steep slopes. Controlled explosions echoed through the valleys. Convoys of dump trucks carried away millions of tons of rock, day after day, slowly replacing the rugged mountaintop with an almost perfectly level construction platform. The transformation was so dramatic that satellite images taken only a few years apart looked like two completely different places. But removing the mountain created an entirely new danger. Every bucket of earth taken away changed the forces acting on the remaining slopes. Gravity was constantly trying to pull everything downhill. If just one section became unstable, it could trigger landslides capable of destroying months of work in minutes. So engineers fought the mountain at every stage. Gigantic retaining walls were built wherever natural slopes became too steep. Steel anchors, drilled deep into the rock, acted like invisible nails holding entire sections of the mountain together. Special drainage systems diverted rainwater before it could weaken the ground. Even after the station was completed, many of these systems would continue protecting the site every single day. Only once the mountain itself had been stabilized could construction of the station finally begin. And this was no ordinary station. The building had to handle enormous passenger volumes while serving as a key interchange for several high-speed rail corridors crossing southwestern China. That meant dozens of tracks, multiple platforms, vast waiting halls, shops, connections to local transportation, all sitting on ground that hadn't even existed a short time earlier. From above, the station looks almost effortless, but beneath its floors lies an enormous network of reinforced foundations designed to spread the weight evenly across the artificial plateau. Every support had to be positioned with incredible precision, because high-speed rail leaves almost no room for error. At over 300 kilometers per hour, even tiny imperfections in the track can become major problems, which meant the station itself wasn't enough. The railways approaching it had to be just as precise, and that's where the project became even more unbelievable. The mountain was only one obstacle. To reach this station, China's high-speed trains would also have to cross deep valleys, disappear into mountains, and emerge perfectly aligned with platforms built on top of a landscape humans had completely reshaped. It was an engineering puzzle stretching for hundreds of kilometers, and solving it would push some of the world's most advanced construction techniques to their limits. Building the station itself was only half the challenge. Getting trains there was something else entirely. High-speed rail doesn't tolerate sharp turns. It can't climb steep slopes like a highway. Every curve must be smooth, every gradient carefully controlled. But the landscape surrounding the station offered almost none of that. Towering mountains stood directly in the way. Deep valleys dropped hundreds of meters below. If engineers followed the natural terrain, trains would have to slow down dramatically, defeating the entire purpose of a high-speed network. So instead of following the mountains, they ignored them. Construction crews launched an enormous campaign unlike almost anything seen before. Mountains were drilled from both ends at the same time, with tunnel-boring machines and controlled blasting slowly working toward each other through solid rock. Some tunnels stretched for many kilometers, Inside, temperatures rose. Dust filled the air. Every meter forward revealed new geological surprises. A hidden fault line, unexpected groundwater, rock harder than expected, or softer than anyone had predicted. Even a small miscalculation could delay construction for weeks. But the mountains weren't the only obstacle. Whenever the terrain suddenly dropped away, engineers simply built across it. Massive concrete viaducts began stretching from one mountain ridge to another, carrying high-speed trains high above rivers, forests, and entire villages. From a distance, they almost seem impossible. Long, perfectly straight lines floating through one of the most rugged landscapes in China. And there was a reason for building them that way. Every tunnel and every bridge allowed the railway to maintain a nearly constant elevation. Instead of climbing up and down with the mountains, the trains could continue almost as if the landscape beneath them didn't exist. The result is something extraordinary. Passengers can travel through terrain that once took an entire day to cross in just a fraction of the time. But creating that illusion required staggering precision. Some bridges were assembled, segment by segment, using gigantic launching machines that slowly placed each concrete section hundreds of meters above the ground. Others relied on temporary support towers, standing in places where heavy equipment had barely enough room to operate. From above, the finished railway looks effortless. During construction, it was anything but. Thousands of workers, engineers, surveyors, crane operators, and machine crews had to coordinate every step with almost perfect accuracy. Because one section finished too early, or one tunnel delayed by only a few weeks, could affect dozens of other construction sites connected to the same railway. The entire project moved like a giant machine, every team depending on another, every deadline linked together, and after years of carving through mountains and bridging impossible valleys, the tracks finally reached the station. But there was still one final challenge, perhaps the most important of all, because building one of the world's largest railway stations means nothing if millions of passengers can't move through it quickly enough. When the station finally opened, the engineering wasn't over. In many ways, it was only beginning. Unlike a traditional railway station, this one had to function like the heartbeat of an entire region. Every day, thousands of passengers pour through its enormous halls. Some are commuting to work, others are traveling hundreds of kilometers across China, and many are simply passing through, connecting to another high-speed line within minutes. To keep everything moving, almost every part of the station was designed around one goal: flow. Wide concourses prevent bottlenecks before they can form. Passengers move through multiple levels instead of competing for the same space. Escalators, elevators, waiting areas, ticket gates, and platforms all work together like parts of one enormous machine. From above, it almost resembles the inside of a living organism, with thousands of people constantly flowing through carefully planned pathways. But the station itself represents something much bigger than transportation. For decades, these mountains acted as barriers. They separated cities, slowed trade, limited opportunity. Today, they do the exact opposite. The same landscape that once divided southwestern China is now stitched together by tunnels, bridges, and high-speed rail lines that seem to ignore the terrain completely. Entire industries have moved closer together. Tourism has exploded. Cities that once felt isolated are now only a short train ride apart. And projects that would have sounded impossible only a generation ago have become reality. But perhaps the most unbelievable part isn't the station. It's what it represents. For most of human history, mountains decided where people could live, where roads could go, and how civilizations expanded. They were obstacles that had to be accepted. Today, engineers see them differently, not as walls, but as problems waiting to be solved. Instead of going around nature, they reshape it, sometimes by drilling straight through it, sometimes by stretching bridges across impossible valleys, and sometimes by removing part of an entire mountain to create space for one of the largest high-speed railway stations on Earth. Standing on the platform today, it's almost impossible to imagine what this place looked like before construction began. The cliffs, the uneven slopes, the solid rock that once filled the space beneath your feet, almost all of it is gone, replaced by steel, concrete, and one of the most ambitious transportation hubs ever built. It's a reminder that the world's greatest engineering projects aren't always about building taller skyscrapers or longer bridges. Sometimes, they're about convincing an entire mountain to move. And somehow, it did.